All right, now it's time to add some functionality to our checkpoints. So we're first going to go to the backdrop so that we can define a variable that helps us keep track of what checkpoint is active at the moment so that we can always know what checkpoint has been activated. And when we get to that checkpoint, we can just activate the next one and make sure the current one is no longer active, because we got to make sure we display it and we also keep track of the motion of the car. So let's go over here to variables. And of course, first let's go and use this one right here and then go to variables. And we're first going to define a new one and we're going to name it checkpoint. Now, and of course, we got to make sure we untick this because we don't want to display it there. And then we say when the flag is clicked, set checkpoint to 1 to start with, meaning that, hey, the first one should be active right now because the race has started, and obviously we got to start with the first checkpoint. And we're also going to broadcast something because we want all of these sprites that are our checkpoints to know exactly which one needs to be activated. Okay, so what we're gonna broadcast is something like this. We're gonna broadcast next checkpoint. All right. Now, what we want to accomplish with this broadcast is to essentially say, hey, all the checkpoints, see which checkpoint is activated right now because a new one might be activated. So later on, we're going to program something on the car to indicate anytime we get on an active checkpoint to change this number to the next one. All right, and then broadcast it again so that, again, all of these sprites know exactly which checkpoint is supposed to be activated at the moment. So let's go over here on the car to set that up. And again, we want to do the same thing that we did with the move and the rotate. We just want to define a function on its own and just leave it running forever. So we're always checking to see if the right checkpoint has, active checkpoint has been passed on by the car. So we're going to go over here to my blocks. We're going to make a new one and we're going to name it checkpoint. Very nice. And of course, we're going to take that and put it here in this forever loop. And let's find the less crowded space, maybe over here somewhere. All right, and we're going to start to define what we want to see. So what we're checking for is to see if the car goes on an active checkpoint. Remember, when the checkpoint is active, it's going to turn yellow. So let me show you. So for example, when the first one is active, actually we can just run the program just like that. And remember, this first one has to be yellow like that. There we go. We want this car, once it goes on this yellow checkpoint, to essentially signal us over here, saying that, hey, I went on the first checkpoint, so now it's time for you to broadcast a signal saying that, deactivate this one and activate the next one. So that's exactly what we're going to program here. We're going to say, hey, if we go on the first color, which was the yellow color, so we're going to say touching color. And of course, again, we're going to use this tool and we're just going to go grab that color. So if we're touching that yellow color, we're going to change our checkpoints to the next one, right? So we're going to go to variables and we're going to say change checkpoint by 1. Remember, this adds 1 to whatever the current checkpoint is. And when we start the program, remember, we set the checkpoint to number 1. So once we get to the first one, it's going to add 1. Now it's a 2. Once we get to the second one, it's going to add another 1. We're at 3, and so on and so forth. Okay? So if we get there, we're going to change it, and then we're going to broadcast this change so that all of these sprites are made aware of this change. So we're going to go over here, and we're going to broadcast next checkpoint. All right? Now, we're going to go on all of these and say that if this broadcast has been made available to us, we need to act accordingly and make sure that we're reflecting that on the display. So we're going to go over here and we're going to say, when I receive that broadcast called next checkpoint, we're going to check for and make sure that we're displaying the right color. So we're going to say, hey, if the checkpoint is mine, like for example, like remember, we're essentially saying, hey, this is the checkpoint that is active right now. So for example, the second checkpoint should be activated. So now every single checkpoint is going to check, is my checkpoint the ones that's activated, or is it another one? If it's mine, then change the color to yellow. If it's not, then just keep the color at blue the way it is. All right, so that's what we're going to program here. And we're going to say, we're going to go to looks, and we're going to use switch costume too, because remember, each of these checkpoints had two different costumes over here that we set up. The first one was when it's active, the second one when it's deactivated. So we're going to say, if the checkpoint is equal to 1, if it is, we're going to set it to custom 1, which is the yellow one. And if it's not, we're going to set it to custom 2, which is the blue one. All right, so hopefully this is making sense, because if it is indeed checkpoint 1, which is the one we're on right now, we need to display the yellow one. If it's not, we need to display the blue one. All right, and we need to copy the same thing for every single one of these. So I'm just going to grab this and put it over here. But remember, for every single one, we need to make sure we're reflecting the right number. So for the second one, we got to check if checkpoint is equal to 2, then do that. And the same thing over here with the third one. We're going to check if checkpoint is equal to 3, then do that thing for the sprite. For number 4, we're going to say if checkpoint is equal to 4, and we're going to just do the same thing for every single one of them, and essentially check their number and see if their number is the one that's activated right now and the one that's being made aware to us. So again, just remember, and we just drag and drop, real easy way of copy pasting these blocks of code. And go over here, number 8. And go over here, number 9. Go over here, number 10. Or wait a second. This one's number 9. This one's number 10. There we go. And then this one is number 11. This one's number 12. And last but not least, number 13. All right, so now all the sprites are checking to see if their number is the one that's activated, that should be activated right now, and they're going to act accordingly once the car goes on them. Right, now last but not least, we need to add something to make sure we finish the game. Right, so we're also going to see if we're about to finish the game, essentially meaning that we've actually reached the last checkpoint. So we're going to just check for something else over here. We're going to check, hey, if the checkpoint is at 14, because remember, we have 13 checkpoints. So if we get to number 13 and we essentially add another one, and we change it by 1, then we're going to be at checkpoint 14, meaning that we finished an entire lap, right? And right now, we're not going to worry about making multiple laps. We're just going to worry about finishing 1 lap for now. What we're going to say is we're going to say, hey, if I actually finish, or if I actually get to a 14th checkpoint, then obviously I've finished the game. So we need to just finish the game and display that message. So what we're going to do is we're also going to put another function over here, or I should say another if over here. And what we're going to check for is to see if the checkpoint is more than the numbers that we actually have. So if the checkpoint is actually at number 14, then we're going to set, remember we had this variable called finished, which told us that we finished the game. We're going to set that finished variable to 1. And remember, the way finished worked was with 0 and 1. So if it was at 0, that means that the game is still going on. If it was at 1, that means that the game is over, right? So we're just going to set that over there to indicate the game has indeed finished, right? So let's go ahead and try this right now and see how this works. So remember, we just go on there, and there you go. You see how that changes and goes to the next one? Exactly what we wanted to see. And you can just go ahead and try this yourself. And just go on all of these checkpoints, and we want to see if the game finishes by the time we get on the last one. All right, so we're just going to go there. Just going to go there to the next one. All is working well. And if at any stage the wrong checkpoint lights up, that means that you need to make sure you've probably made an error somewhere with one of the numbers. So just double check the code if that happens. But so far we're looking good. Everything's running smoothly. And let's see what happens when we get to the last one. There we go. The game ends because we got to the last one. So the checkpoint was added. One was added to 13. We got to 14 and the game was set to finished. All right, so hopefully that made sense. Again, just go ahead and make sure that your program is working properly as well. And in the next couple of videos, we're going to add other factors like multiple laps and a timer to keep track of how fast we're going and all that stuff. But for now, we've made the basics of the game where we have the car, it's moving properly, and we can just follow the movement of the car with the checkpoints. So make sure everything's working well, and I'll see you in the next video.